Welcome everyone to Chart's webinar. Today, I want to welcome Paul Miramontes and Michele Lange to speak on AI for hospitality.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Really appreciate it. Super happy to be here. One of us is very famous for chili dogs, and the other is very famous for making some really good pancakes over there, and we're super excited to have you. A little bit about myself is I am the now actually recently promoted senior manager of learning development here at the Galardi Group, the franchisors of Wienerschnitzel. Almost 10 years here, and before that, 10 years at a small place called the Walt Disney Company in Anaheim, California. So, Michelle?
Yeah, so currently I'm leading the L&D team here at IHOP. I've worked for quite a few brands over the years. I've been at the Habit Burger, Chipotle, Del Taco, and a few small brands as well. I'm also am a longtime chart member, so I started um, like as far as my volunteer work, just volunteering at a conference. I was a conference director, and I'm also have served as past president. And I do have two passions right now. One of them is creating an AI agent for Spanish translation. So that's one of the passions I have. We just really want to be able to implement that to help us produce recipes and build charts and videos a lot faster than what we do currently. And also using data to design content that really focuses on behavior change. So those are the two things I'm hyper focused on for this year as we revise our training programs.
100%. So today we're going to be talking about AI for hospitality, embracing the future with confidence and clarity. So this is more of an introductory type of presentation and giving you some helpful ideas and tips and some examples of how to really embrace AI. I know that there are different segments and more concrete elements that we can really dive deeper into. And there's lots of great individuals that are part of this chart organization that you guys can connect to or to reach out to us and we can connect the dots for you so that you can get even more from AI and connect with the right people to help embrace the impacts you're trying to make at your organizations. So with that being said, let's get into it, Michelle. Let's talk about today's objectives and what we're going to be going over today. We're going to understand the foundations of AI, what I just briefly mentioned. We're going to explore real world applications, right? Some that are free, some that are premium, some of the differences that you would pay for and how they can help you. We'll recognize what your role and the impact is, right? Because we're all in the training space and we really want to continue to impact our roles and embrace AI to be more efficient and continue to take our industries and hotels and restaurants to new heights. We're also going to elevate AI solutions with confidence, right? Because AI can really create a lot of those service solutions and some of those roadblocks that come your way that take a little bit extra time for you to do. It'll help you do it with confidence and become more efficient. And we'll have an action plan for some clarity and give you some purpose on what those next steps are. So let's go ahead and dive into that. One of my favorite quotes right now that I've heard is what got you here won't get you there. Marshall Goldsmith. We, every few years, and actually even more often now, technology continues to change the industry. And the big aspect right now is artificial intelligence. And we need to continue to embrace and leverage AI and artificial intelligence to make us more efficient and become better trainers out there, utilizing the different concepts of how AI can better embrace of where we're going. Otherwise, we can be left behind, right? Just like when you are moving up in your careers, how you used to think as a entry level to a specialist, to a manager, to a senior manager, director, to the executive level, you have to always continue to evolve so that you can continue to grow. Same with AI. We are embracing, we're learning, and we're all growing together. So what got you here won't get you there. And here are the foundational steps of what we are going to do to get you there. So first, we're going to start with what exactly is artificial intelligence? AI is the ability of computer systems to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, right? These tasks include learning from data and experiences, solving problems using logic and patterns, and making decisions based on information that is available out there. in public and World Wide Webs and in different systems. So that's the basic understanding of artificial intelligence. What now? Here's a big question that a lot of us don't really understand or hear it a lot, but don't really know what it means. So let's dive into this. What does GPT even mean, right? So it's an AI language model developed by OpenAI. The G, the P, and the T stand for generative pre-trained transformer, right? The G, generative, is it creates and generates original text that as if it was a real person. Pre-train, the P, it is trained through a vast amount of text, such from books, articles, and websites, right? And the transformers is an architect that helps to better understand and connect words, context, and even emotions to build and give you those answers that you need. So if you ever wondered, this is what it is, ChatGPT, Playground, Copy AI, this is what this is what GPT stands for. Now, using AI, and I use ChatGPT for this, there's so many different types of AIs out there, right? What I asked ChatGPT was to create an Excel sheet with simplistic language of the different classifications for different types of AIs and what types of AIs they are. Give me a brief description of 2 or 3 words and also give me some examples, right? Because as you all know, there are so many different types of AIs out there in our industry. But how do we simplify to better understand so that we can pass along and educate everyone on this webinar what is out there for us, right? So the classifications, it was great. This Excel sheet popped out and it talks about capability, functionality, and technology were the 3 categories, right? Um, One of the ones that we often use, a lot of us have iPhones, right? And we use Siri to do certain things for us. This is a narrow AI, narrow and artificial intelligence that is task-specific intelligence, right? Siri will search through your applications and bring up or text or do what it needs you to do based on a small, narrow group of proprietary items on your phone. Another one is Netflix, right? So you're ever I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching Netflix or have Netflix at home, or on your phones or on your devices, and there are suggestions on there, right? And those suggestions are based on what you have watched, and that is an artificial intelligence that is narrow and it's giving you suggestions based on the rom-coms, the comedies, the action films. It is giving you suggestions on something you may enjoy next to watch and view, right? Some of us have Teslas out there, right? I know Michele Lange has a couple in her driveway. So, uh, functionality, limited memory. It uses data to make decisions, right? Recent data to make decisions, just like self-driving cars. Some of you out there have the self-driving mode on your Tesla or on your Lucids or some of those electrical cars, and that is a form of limited memory AI, self-driving cars. Another one out there that's very popular is on your phone. Who uses facial recognition on their phone to open their phone? I know I do. Well, that is a computer that's a technology AI that is computer vision that processes visual data for facial recognition. That's a type of AI. And one of the ones that is we're seeing a lot more grow out there in the industry. I know Performance Food Group, who we use as our food distributor, is starting to really dabble into this, is warehouse robots, right? Same with Amazon and some of those other companies that are using robotics now. That is also a form of AI to become more efficient, cut costs down, and really help elevate their business proficiencies. Michele?
All right. But before I jump into the slide, I just wanted to let everyone know that at the end of our session, we're going to ask if anyone wants to share what they are currently doing with AI. So if you'd like to speak at the end, go ahead and message the hosts and panelists, and then we can take you off mute so we can chat with you. All right. So I think this is a really great analogy of what AI is really like. So AI is really like a 10-year-old. But before we talk about how AI can transform I was gonna say hospitality. That's what we say here at IHOP. Hospitality, I want to level set about how you should really think about it. So the easiest way to understand AI today is to think of it like a 10-year-old. It's not a machine, it's not magic, it's not something to be afraid of. It's a very capable but still developing 10-year-old. So, like a 10-year-old, AI knows a lot. It has access to massive amounts of information, as we all know, but it doesn't always understand context, judgment, or nuance in the way an experienced operator or training professional does. It needs clear instructions because vague direction gets vague results. So, always when you're thinking about working with AI, your input is the output is only as good as the input. It can absolutely learn and improve, but only with coaching, structure, and feedback. And it is naturally curious and fast, but without guardrails. So it can go in the wrong direction pretty quickly. You always have to kind of rein it in a little bit. And just like a 10-year-old, it can be incredibly helpful and surprisingly powerful, but it's not perfect and it shouldn't be left unsupervised. I think we've all heard some of those crazy stories out there about how someone, created a robot and then all of a sudden it was just going off on its own. So we still have to make sure that we're reining it in.
I love it.
All right, Paul.
Yes. So here we have an example, right? We always love examples. There's different types of AIs out there that you can use, and there's not a one size fits all, right? I honestly use three different types depending on what I am specifically looking for. Here is an example. I use ChatGPT and Copilot, right? I use ChatGPT for my personal laptop a lot and for Copilot because it is what is provided by my company here and my work issued laptop. So one of the prompts that I put on there is, can you create a management training program focused on general managers for operational excellence in a restaurant? The area of focus should be onboarding new employees to learn management to, for a learning management system. And one of the things that we saw here, having the side by side, both gave me what I needed. However, they were slightly different. On the left-hand side here, you see ChatGPT that gave me more objectives and bullet points. And on the right-hand side, it really built it into a module 1, 2, and 3 program with the foundations and kind of went into what needed to be, what the objectives were and what the topics were. So again, understanding, figuring out what is best for you will really help you hone in on those skills and pick that AI that is best for you. Or if you're like me, you will use different ones for different things because they provide some better visuals, some are better at organizing data based on how you like. And just a couple of examples here. Michelle, now I talked about the prompt slightly, but that prompt is probably the most important thing when you're asking for assistance from AI, all right?
You are correct. Again, the output is only as good as your input. So the quality of what you get from AI, again, is only as good as you give it, right? So if your prompt is vague, your output will be very vague. And I said that a few minutes ago. And if your prompt is clear, structured, and intentional, then the results can be incredibly powerful. So think about it this way. If you gave a new team member unclear instructions, what would you expect? They're probably going to do that task incorrectly because you didn't give them those clear instructions. They might try to do their best, but you probably still have to reteach them or they're going to have to relearn that task. And AI works the exact same way. So when we talk about using AI effectively, it doesn't start with a tool, it starts with how you prompt it. And the good news is you don't have to be very technical or a computer expert. You just need to think like a trainer. And that's where a simple framework like RACE comes in and it helps you give AI the clarity and direction that you need that you would actually give a new team member. So start off with role. So think about who should the AI be? Think of it like assigning a job. So the example here, if you click, it should, yeah. You are the training manager, and this helps the AI respond in the right tone and perspective. So A is for action. So what do you want it to do? You have to be very direct and specific. So the example here is create a short learning activity. The clearer the task, the better the result. C is for context. So what background does it need? So giving it the setting or the audience that you want it to create for you. And the example here is you want them to create, or you want AI to create something for a new restaurant team member who's learning food safety. And this really helps to tailor the response to your needs. And then E is for execute. What are the rules or the format? So here you want to add any instructions or limitations for your request. And this example is make it interactive and under 5 minutes. And this ensures that the output is usable and focused. So again, role, you're a training manager. The action you're looking for is to create a short learning activity. The context behind it is for a new restaurant team member learning food safety, and you want it to be interactive in under 5 minutes. So that's the structure, but what does this actually look like in action? So here is a really simple activity that from my prompt that the AI kind of spit out for me, right? So this is titled, this is my quick food safety challenge. It's called Safe or Sorry. They gave a time under 5 minutes. It'll help new employees identify some unsafe food handling practices. It gave me a set of instructions and some sample scenarios, and then a wrap up. And so with this, I can take a look at it and be like, great, I can use this off the shelf, or maybe I want to give it a few more prompts to maybe enhance this activity. And you just kind of keep going from there. So this is what it was, its initial response for those prompts. But the more that you give it more detailed prompts, you'll get a more detailed response.
Absolutely. I'm going to shout out my friend Jim Rich, who did a great job for a breakout session at the last conference. And he'll be doing another one in Boston. So he is an AI expert, and prompts are super important to this. Michelle, great job explaining that. Three common uses of AI. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what we're seeing training professionals use AI for a little bit more, right? Communication, data dump, and summarizing data, right? Who has ever felt like this gentleman right here being just covered in all this data, and it is just a big old um, data dump that is coming onto you? It's happened to you, right? I know it's happened to me. It's happened to Michelle. And it sometimes would take us in the past so long to really analyze all this data. But AI is a great way to assist you with analyzing that stuff. And let's look at a couple of examples here. First, I'm going to dive into communications, right? Oftentimes, we hit a wall when it comes to writing a memo, writing an email, something that's important, right? What I like to do oftentimes is put that into, I write it out, I get what I need, and I prompt it to organize it with a steady flow in a professional manner for who the audience is, right? It also creates great visual aids. I know my training specialist here at Galardi Group and at Wienerschnitzel, she loves using AI for visual aids because it really saves time and it really enhances our presentations, our PowerPoints, our communications to our franchise community. Another one is chatbots, right? There are individual chatbots that you guys can use. My colleague Matt has built one for us here individually, and I know a lot of you guys are out there doing it. Donna's doing a great job creating her chatbot, and I'm going to shout out Donna for Boston because I know she's going to be doing a great workshop out there on creating your own chatbot. So again, these are all things that we can assist you with. Let's give a couple more examples of what we're doing here at Wienerschnitzel. So we optimize communication with our learning management search engine. We ask our beloved TDO, which is our mascot, the delicious one, TDO for short. We put them into our learning management system to help filter through our proprietary learning management system all the data and help our franchisees, general managers, and team members at the restaurant find that information in a timely and efficient manner. And that has become such a popular and efficient um, AI assistant that our LMS engagement has skyrocketed at our stores, which is just a huge win for us. Actually, won us a Brandon Hall Award, which is amazing. And here's another example of it. So you can, if you're on the desktop or on a tablet, you can type in what you want, and it will search through all of our LMS and give you the example and also source where that is. And it's always learning, right? So not only is it telling you, but it also source and tell you, all right, it's going to be in the operations manual under administrative labor management, page 67, right? Just a great way to be more efficient and help get that answer. The cool thing is, if you have it on your phone, if you're working on a work phone, you can push the talk and also speak into it, and it can do the same thing. Communication at the restaurants, right? Um, we all hit those snags in the day-to-day where it's, oh man, I got to open up the back office. I got to get onto my computer to find the answer to this. Well, we really did not like that, right? We said, how can we went on the whiteboard and said, how can we become more efficient? Well, using an Alexa, we created, and kudos to my colleague Matt for doing an excellent job of this. We created a lockdown Alexa that would only filter a narrow AI that would only filter our operations manual and our learning management system. So now, someone who is in our restaurants has this Alexa in the kitchen that can say, "Hey Alexa, how do I make a chili dog?" I'm sorry, not Alexa. Hey TDO, how can I make a chili dog? It will search the LMS and it will give you, you get a bun, you get a hot dog, you pour chili. It will walk you through those steps, right? Hey Alexa, what is my daily janitorial task for today? Your daily janitorial task for Wednesday is X, Y, and Z. This has become so beneficial to our team members that it helps them be more efficient, especially because every time you got to if you touch your phone, you're wearing gloves. This is touchless. This is free. You can speak into it. Hey, TDO, yes, I'm here to help. Then you ask the question, then it gives an answer. You don't have to search. You don't have to get the iPad. You don't have to get the training tablet. It is all there, um, and makes you more efficient and gets you the right answers to provide great solutions to the questions that you have and the problems you occur out there. But there's more. What else are we at Wienerschnitzel using? Well, we're using AI at our drive-throughs. We have partnered with Presto. We are taking orders using AI at the drive-through, and I got to tell you, it is fascinating how far AI has come. Um, it's always learning. However, it if you're not really paying attention, you can't even tell that it is an AI. And there's still somebody on the headset. The average success rate, or I should say, how often an individual has to jump in and help because the AI gets slightly confused. It's got an accuracy of about 96% on average to our restaurants, so it does a really good job. So that's less than 1 in 10 transactions that an individual at the drive-through needs to jump in and help out and take over for that interaction. So just a couple of different examples I wanted to give on how we're embracing AI in the restaurant industry at the quick service restaurant for us. Let's talk a little bit about data dump.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So, have you ever stared at a blank page? Because I do a lot, knowing that you have a lot of ideas, but no idea where to even start. Or worse, everything's just like in your head, but it's messy, scattered, and overwhelming. I'm sure we've all been there. So that's where most projects end up stalling, not because we don't have ideas, but because we can't organize them into a clear starting point. So what AI is incredibly good at is especially tools like Copilot, and that's what we are actually licensed to use here at Dine Brands. It's taking that messy, what I call a data dump, and turning it into structure. So it doesn't replace thinking, it helps you really organize, sharpen your thoughts, and gives you momentum. So here's a real example that I used as I was searching on, how are we going to reorganize our manager training program? But I didn't really have a clean starting point. So I used the race structure to start creating my prompt. Um, and so instead of waiting for that kind of perfect outline, I just, did this data dump, just kind of trying to organize all my thoughts just to get really everything out of my head. And then I just let Copilot go to work for me. And so if you click ahead, there should be one more. This is what it part of what it spit out for me. So it gave me some additional topics to think about. It can help me build a 4-week agenda. And then just going back to the starting point of your prompt, you have to kind of keep massaging it and kind of keep feeding it more information. And then it just becomes a more robust thought process. And so the key here is AI doesn't need perfection, it just needs the input, right? And from there, Copilot can take your thoughts and really make it a little bit more comprehensive. So it was able to organize and expand the ideas and suggested some logical next steps, which was really cool. And I think that's exactly where most of us really get stuck. And with the current state of the industry, we're all moving really fast and we don't always have this time to sit and to perfectly plan. One of our sayings that Lawrence, our brand president, talks about every day is that we're moving at the speed of culture. So we have to be really nimble and be really quick. So I don't have the luxury of staring at a blank page for an hour or two trying to think of like, what am I going to do with this project? So AI really helps me get started. And so it's just
Absolutely.
really, yeah, just a way to think faster and not just work faster. It's how can you think faster and get things out?
One of my mentors, Rachel, former chart president, mentioned years ago, she said, as a leader, you just got to find ways to get things done. Even as a perfectionist, and I can be a perfectionist at times, you just got to find a way to be more efficient and get things done. And this is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
Our responsibilities, Michelle.
Yeah, we have a lot of responsibilities with AI. With all the speed and power AI gives us, it also introduces us to a lot of risk. Because at the end of the day, AI doesn't own the outcome, we do. So we work a lot with our legal team just to we're definitely cut off from using Chat GPT and a lot of other AI platforms out there. We've landed on using Copilot. Most of us have just the basic Copilot. I'm actually really excited because I'm getting into the next level. But I think also to help me create my translation agent, I'm going to hopefully get Copilot Studio, and that's really going to kind of take that project to the next level. Um, but using AI isn't just about capability, it really is about responsibility. So we have to remember that. And as leaders, we have to stay in control of, what we share, what we trust, and what we can ultimately act on. So when using AI, you want to make sure to protect the brand and yourself, really, because if you're putting a lot of content out there, especially as proprietary content, I don't know, we're a publicly held company, so we can't have information leak out there, right? So we have to really be mindful of what we're putting out there. So also know the rules of the road. Every company has guidelines and those matter more, not less with AI. And if your company doesn't have any guidelines in how you use AI and the type of AI that you use, you probably really need to take a look into that. Know the rules of the road. Oh, every, sorry. I was like, I already talked about that. I'm talking too fast. Some of the legal aspects, there's confidential data that you have, guest information, and again, proprietary content. So those are all really non-negotiables when you're looking at how you can protect yourself when using AI. Also, think about validity. AI can sound right and it may sound like an amazing idea, but it could still be wrong. So you have to verify that information. It goes back to that trust yet verify. And also those checks and balances. So the best use of AI is human plus AI, not just AI alone. So again, don't just rely on the output that AI gives you. You still need a human to really verify what the output is. And I
Yeah.
think too, you're just agreeing with me, Paul.
Yes, I was going to add an example, but please. I
No,
want
go
to.
ahead and add an example, please.
And that's the thing, guys. I feel like, and I had a conversation recently with someone that uses AI for everything, and I can tell when they use it and when they don't because I know about their word patterns and some of the phrases they use. I know that's not them, that is the AI using it. So you want to use AI, but also make it your own as well, right? Um, and that's key and that's important because again, AI plus human, like Michelle says, equals a good collaboration, a good team.
And, I think as long as we use it responsibly, AI doesn't really replace our judgment. I think it really strengthens it. And the organizations that win will be the ones that use it both with confidence and clarity. So, just like hospitality, it's not about the tool, it's about the experience that we create with it.
Yeah, and a lot of our brands, a lot of restaurants and hotels out there are still working on AI training, right? So my brand, our HR department, had set out guidelines about 6 months ago, and then 2 months ago gave us actual 30 minutes AI training on what limit, not limitations, but what responsible AI usage is. So again, so new, we're all embracing it, just, you know, finding out what is proprietary. Definitely don't want to put it out there onto an AI because it will then become public knowledge. And that's important is to protect your proprietary information
Mm,
out there. So uh,
definitely.
how AI can impact L&D, right? So streamlined searches, right? It allows for better focus on solutions. I got to tell you that working with a great team here in operations and marketing, sometimes the biggest things is, have all these ideas, but what are the right solutions to organizing it or coming up with additional solutions? AI really helped with that. It's a design partner. We do a lot of presentations here at Wienerschnitzel. We do a weekly webinar, and it really helps in our design. It helps organize our thoughts. It comes up with additional images and pictures, and it really helps become that design partner that would essentially take us so long to put these graphics together. It helps us become more efficient. It saves budgets by generating images and videos, right? It organizes your data. Obviously, you're not going to put names and social security numbers or that stuff, but other additional things that can organize a list, specific data or specific items that will make you more efficient. That's a great thing. And it's really an assistant, right? It's an ideation assistant, right? So sometimes you have those ideas, but how do you organize all those thoughts? Because if you're like me, I'm an overthinker. I'm always thinking, that's like, all right, what am I doing? Let's just put it in there and see what happens. Oh. That's a good way to do it. That helps organize the thoughts of someone who is an overthinker like myself. Michelle, are you an overthinker?
Yes, sometimes, and that's why using the data dump helps me a lot. So, but also, with AI, it's not about replacing what we do in L&D. It's really about amplifying it. So we still need teams. It's not going to take a lot of our jobs away. I say that what will take your job away is if you're not using AI or don't know how to use it. And, I think another important topic that I'm seeing a lot out there on LinkedIn is how does HR come into play and how do we as leaders kind of harness the power of AI as we build our teams and build our bench in our departments?
Yeah, very good. There's different types of AIs out there. It doesn't need to cost you money. It doesn't need to cost you a lot. There's the free versions and the paid versions. Finding what AI really, what your needs are based on your role, can really give you some different examples. And also sharing this with your peers, right? We are all learning together in this industry. And I love getting together at chart conferences and brainstorming what someone is using because that might be a more efficient AI tool for me, or someone else might find to be a better AI to use for specific tasks and roles in your industry. For sake of time, there's some examples here on your left on different things like AI, like image generators, transcripts, video generators, notes, and so on. For sake of time, I'll just leave that up there for you. But honestly, nowadays you can really find a lot of great content by simply Googling the different types of AIs, and it'll give you a good breakdown as what is free and then maybe what you want to pay for to give you a little bit more of what you're looking for. Okay. With that being said, the AI action plan. So be the AI superhero for your team, right? The more knowledge that you have and you share your team, you bring your team forward, right? As leaders in the training space, we need to continue to develop ourselves, embracing AI as well, build up our teams to help reduce. I think there's still a lot of fear out there, right? You want to get that buy-in. I know that even sometimes on my team, it's, well, do I really trust it? I don't know. It seems kind of odd or even my parents. Like my parents are in their late 60s, right? And they are so afraid of AI that it's almost scary. But to me and my brothers and my sister-in-laws, like we and my team here, we are embracing it because we don't fear it. The more we understand it, the less we fear it. So be that AI superhero for your team. If there's something you know, pass that along to your team, educate them. Hey guys, this is a helpful tip. If I prompt this AI to do this, it will come out with this solution here and it will organize this or that. So identify and elevate the AI tools for hospitality, right? Learn the right AI-powered tools that help you align with your training needs and your operational goals to really help that hospitality environment, that operational environment, that whatever it is you're looking for, find the right tools for you. I can sit here and tell you what works for me, probably won't work for Michelle, probably won't work for James Frank out there, or Rachel, or whoever out there. Everybody's different based on what your needs are, what your role is, what your team is trying to accomplish, the vision and the goals. Find what works for you and embrace that, learn that, and start to leverage it to become more efficient as a team. Create an AI learning plan, an integration plan as well. Create a roadmap for introducing AI to your training teams, including how to upskill the staff, pilot AI cases, and really embrace that technology on the daily workflow. I will tell you one of our roadblocks for us at Wienerschnitzel with our Ask TDOs, our Alexas that are in the restaurants, is our restaurant team members are sometimes a little bit older, or they're learning AI for the first time, or they don't speak, they have a language barrier, right? And our Alexa or Ask TDO can now speak four different languages. So even if it is in Spanish, it can respond to it in Spanish. If it is Korean, it can provide Korean. So what we had to do is we went out there in our training seminars and hit 28 different cities to really embrace, teach, and showcase what this AI, this Alexa bot that is very small and we plug it into the kitchen, how it can make them more efficient. And it was a little bit of a sales pitch, but once they tried it, once they embraced it, they loved it. So again, AI for find out what that plan is, create an action plan, whether it's at the restaurant level, whether it's at your team, whether it's at your service center, your corporate office, and really start to embrace that and teach it. Because the more you educate, the more people become more comfortable with, and the more you can continue to take your brand forward to new heights. Now here, we're getting to this point where we want you to type into the chat box, or we're going to call on a couple individuals to share. Just for fun, I use ChatGPT, the free version, to create an image here for this PowerPoint specifically. And I said, put a handsome, young, good-looking man, probably in his mid-30s, chatting to a group of AIs, and this is what it got. Not too bad, right, Michelle? What do you think?
Right.
So who are we calling on first, Michelle? I saw in the chat box there was
Renee,
yeah,
she has a cool tool that she would like to share with us, or a unique way that she's using AI.
absolutely.
So I think Tara, if you can unmute Renee, that would be amazing.
All right, there she is. Do we have Renee?
Yes,
Renee,
and Renee, you are unmuted.
Renee, I've asked you to unmute your mute, but you have to click the button too.
Okay, am I here?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So I teach hospitality management at a technical college in Wisconsin, and I've actually completely 100% not only embraced it for myself, but for my students as well. I completely use it when creating assignments and projects. My least favorite class that I teach is, of course, hospitality cost control.
Oh.
And I needed a final project. And so I thought, oh, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. So I requested, and it came up with 7 of the most brilliant ideas that I just used all 7 and said to the students, you can choose which one you want to do. So it offered some flexibility and options for them, which they like. I also used it. One of the things that we try to do at tech colleges is avoid having students have to buy textbooks because they're so expensive. And so we're doing a lot more what we call OER, open and affordable resources. And I compiled an entire textbook on event management using ChatGPT as my editor. So
Wow.
even every single word that I put into this textbook, even if it was my own story, like this happened to me and, here's what I observed, I wrote it into ChatGPT and asked it to polish it and came out perfectly. So even the picture captions and everything in this 16 chapter textbook to go with the 16 weeks of school in a tech college came out beautifully. And the last one, which I think would be useful for everyone on this call, and I'm sure some of you already do this, but I had to create a lab credit or a lecture credit for a lab course. And I'm like, no, these people don't want to listen to me. I'm not going to lecture. So I created using character AI. Has anyone ever done anything with character AI?
Yeah.
So I used character AI and I created 8 characters. 4 were customer situations and 4 were employee situations. And every other week, the students had to go in and have a conversation with this scenario in this character persona, basically. And what I don't like about Character AI, the actual tool, is that I couldn't see what they were doing. So I had to have them screenshot everything and send it to me so I could follow their conversation with this employee or with this customer. But just this year, our learning management system at the tech college has added this character AI tool. So now when a student uses it, and they click submit, the whole conversation goes into their assignment, which I can then grade. So
That's really cool.
it's kind of a role playing without the embarrassment of role playing, because you're role playing with the chat tool.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see everything that was said between them, and you can tell the character how much to push back or not push back. Say you can tell it, make sure you push back 3 times before you accept what they say, things like that. And I kind of teach it in I teach my students in a coaching format. So I don't want them to tell this employee character how to fix whatever the situation is. I want them to ask questions to get that employee to come up with answers of their own. And it works beautifully. And, it's contemporary and a modern tool. So the students are kind of into that. And it really kind of brings that whole role playing thing to a different place.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing, Renee.
You're welcome.
Did we have any others, Michele, that wanted to
We
share?
do. Mr. James Frank would like to share how he uses AI.
Perfect.
All right, we just need to get James off of mute and we're good to go.
Yes.
James, you've been allowed to talk. You just have to take yourself off mute now. Who's the next person, Michele? Let me get them off mute now too.
I don't see another person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
Okay.
We'll give James another second. If not, we will. I recommend. Oh, we got Mike Andrews here as well. Mike, did you want to share a little bit as well? Can we take Mike off of mute and have him share a little bit?
The only thing that I was adding into the chat is I would highly recommend looking at Tenor AI. It is a great tool to help drive soft skill development with your staff, your employees, your managers. It allows you to create scenarios and also create the interaction of how this employee would respond to you based off of prior experiences. And then it lets you go through the process of doing the feedback And then at the end, it gives you the sort of the good, bad, and ugly and what you could have done better or differently in that interaction. So it's a very realistic, safe practicing, to incorporate as you're doing, let's say, coaching, development, those type of topics.
Absolutely. That's incredible. I want to go check that one out. Soft skills, I think, is something that this industry
Mm,
really needs a little bit more help on. I know it's
yeah.
something we're trying to create more training content on, simply because with the younger generation, not that I'm trying to put a negative light on them, their soft skills, their communication skills, their public speaking skills, and just their guest service skills are a little bit um, need some additional training, right? Not something I thought we would ever really talk about just because I grew up with parents that were, you better say please and thank you. But just something they can use to help out on. So I know I had a request here to flip back to this slide, so I'll do that while we answer one more question. Let's see. All right, let's turn it back to James.
Yep.
Take it away, James.
Hopefully you can hear me now.
We
Yes, we can.
can.
Yay, awesome. Sorry about that. No, I just wanted to share that, I didn't start using AI to be cutting edge. I honestly started using it because I needed help saving time and truthfully to make better decisions. And as an example, when I'm faced with the challenges of putting a presentation together, I actually use AI like a thought partner, not necessarily
Hmm.
the author, right? So it really helps me organize my ideas, pressure test my thinking, and it helps me find better ways to structure what I already know. So it's really helped me to ask better questions and sharpen my messages. But the insights and the examples and the opinions, they're all still based on my experiences. So in the end, I still decide what to say, what goes into it, and it ensures that I really make sure that it sounds like me when I present the presentation.
100%. Great information, great insight. Thank you so much for helping us out. James, really appreciate that. I don't see anyone else, so I know we are a little bit past our time. I want to thank you all for joining us. Michelle and I are always helpful members of this chart organization. We are always here to help and assist. So if you'd like to connect with us or want to reach out at any time, ask any questions, we're super happy to connect and chat. A big thank you to our speakers today, Renee, James, Mike. Really appreciate you guys jumping in and sharing. And thank you to the chart organization. Always appreciate you guys. And we look forward to seeing you in Boston. Michelle,
Yes.
Boston?
Yes, we will be in Boston. So, and definitely connect with us on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure if anyone is going to ATD is in LA in a couple weeks, so not sure if anyone's attending, but I may be there on Monday just for the expo. But hopefully we can all connect soon.
Thank you so much, you guys. Goodbye, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.